And then progression methods, I know we kind of briefly went over this. Again, we're not going to spend too long on it because we only have a few to really focus on. But what progression methods are we looking at? Are we looking at just really adding weight to the bar? That's our main progression method. Are we talking about adding reps? Because I know people do that. Are we talking about adding sets? And then as you've covered, like tempo, are we talking about, adding more like time under tension? What do we see? Like what do you see as the kind of, again, this generic person, what's the best methods here?
Yeah, so when you're writing a training program, let's say it's 6 weeks in duration for this block of training, then what I would typically encourage you to do is have ascending effort, okay, in as one of your elements. And what I mean by that is on week one, staying 3 to 4 reps from failure, let's say. Week two, you might be 2 to 3. Week three, 2 to 3 again. Week four, 2 reps. Week five, 1 to 2. And week six, then you're taking yourself pretty much to failure, or maybe 1 rep from failure. So what you're doing there is you are going to be increasing the weight on the bar, and you're doing that consistently throughout the block of training, or at least that's most likely, but you're not forcing it. So you're not saying, I'm going to, go from, like, you take a weight that you hit failure on week one and then add 5 kilos, because that's beyond the expected rate of progression. Whereas if you're already increasing the effort that you're applying each week, then you'd expect that the weights will be increasing naturally, even if you gain zero strength. But generally, you're going to be gaining strength along with that. So you'll be a little bit ahead. And what I typically do then is that as you go into the next 6 week block of training, you start back at 3 to 4 reps from failure, but maybe the weight is 5 kilos heavier at the beginning because you've actually gotten stronger during that period of time. So I think that works really well, that ascending effort type of approach. It's something I've gravitated towards more and more over time, especially because what it allows for is you entering a new program without being extremely sore on the first week because you're leaving a little bit in the tank. Another thing that works well along with that is starting with slightly less sets and finishing the block with slightly more sets. So for example, you might start with 3 sets of bench press in the first workout, and maybe on week 4 you increase to four sets, and maybe if you're really focusing on it, even going up to 5 sets, to increase your volume as you get towards the 6th week of that training program. That's something that can work quite well, because basically what you've got then, if you use those two things together, you've got a natural increase in the overall stimulus because you've increased the sets. You've got an increase in the stimulus because you're increasing your effort, and then you've most likely got an increase in the weight lifted on the bar relative to where you started because of that increase in effort. And then what we aim for is that when you start the next block, the same level of effort as per week one is now carried out at a heavier weight because you've gained true strength. And for the most part, we're going to be taking those numbers of sets back down to where we started last time, unless we found that we've maybe troubleshooted a problem. An example of that would be where you were previously only ever doing 8 sets for chest and you were never making progress, and you bumped it up further, and then you started to make progress, either aesthetically or through measurements or through strength in the gym. Then you'd say to yourself, right, I actually needed that increase in volume, so I'm going to keep that going forward. So that's generally how I would view progression.